Hello, hello, hello. It's me again for the last time. Now, don't forget there's going to be the virtual beer O. So that's going to be at, I believe, 8 o'clock. So go along to that. I'll try and make it along as well. Say hello to you all. Now, I'm going to not interview myself. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and what I do, because I do create things. As I say, I'm actually sitting in my own theatre at the moment, which is heavily inspired by the fantasy worlds, the ones that made me, do what I do now. I can tell you a little bit about another thing that kind of got me going in the first place was the Death Trap Dungeon, Forest of Doom, and City of Thieves. All with the wrong covers, unfortunately, at the moment. Apart from Death Trap Dungeon, that's got them. And it's that really excited me. And when I was about 13, 14 years old, I wasn't very well one summer. And I was off school, and being a busy young man as I was at the time, I decided to start painting the illustrations on my bedroom walls. And it is from those illustrations that got me into art college. And I think there was also an Iron Maiden Eddie as well, but most of them were the beautiful illustrations from Death Trap Dungeon, the City of Thieves, and Forest of Doom. So from there, I ended up. Please do ask me questions as well. It's very strange to. Okay. How did you get into fighting fantasy books? Well, I just bought them with my pocket money. So I wasn't very good at reading at that age or interested in it at all. I liked Roald Dahl, but anything else I wasn't really into. My brother was into Dungeons and Dragons, a little bit older than me, and he introduced me to some friends of his, Adrian Bott, who's actually does various things on the internet now, and also another friend of his, James Gibson, and they really kind of got me involved. I was about 4 years younger, so at the age of, I suppose, about 10, I was playing D&D, and then AD&D, and then I got drawn into Call of Cthulhu, Palladium. We used to play that in the science block. You remember Palladium? Great game. And so, okay, right, I've got a question. What made me take the jump from reading adventures to creating adventures? I never really wanted to be a games designer. That's not what I wanted to do in life. It was all about theatre for me. And my natural progression was from going from Dungeons and Dragons to live role playing. I've always loved theatre, and live role playing for me was wonderful. Even though the costumes were pretty rubbish and the masks weren't that great, it was the total immersion, and it was actually being out in a woodland, sat down in front of the fire, sort of wondering what's going to creep up behind you, and creating your own stories about your own character. And I loved doing that. I wasn't really into fighting. I was more about, okay, I'm going to play a druid. Okay, what's my history? How have I got there? What am I feeling? Just kind of like very sort of entry-level acting. And then again, that merged with my theatre. So when I managed to get the scenery for my photographic work, because I'm a fantasy photographer, I have been 15 years, it was very easy for me to go, all right, now I've got the scenery and bits and pieces, why don't I start creating more theatre in this fantasy world? And that led to me doing a Kickstarter 4 years ago called Legend Quests. And unfortunately, we didn't get the funding because at the time it was supposed to be for a touring theatre. But we had many of the people that we have seen today. Ian Livingston was going to be kind of a creative, advisor. We had Russ Nicholson, who's going to be some illustrations as rewards. We had Malcolm Barter, he's going to be doing rewards as well. Gary Chalk as well, we had some artwork by him. And Tom Baker was going to be doing the voice. It was going to be really cool, but we didn't fund. We didn't get enough money at all from it. But I did it anyway. I did it a different way. We did a GoFundMe, and we raised just enough to get all the scenery. The scenery you see around me now. And the intention was to try and tour it around festivals. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So it was there, it was built, we had it in a hall for a little while, and then I found this studio in Rye. And no, these aren't real. These are fake. So all my scenery, I got 44 vac form pieces of scenery. They're on a wedge shape on caster wheels, so you can move a scene around within a minute. So it can go from looking like a tavern. So we'll flip over a sign, swing it about, move it about, and then put a little bit of foliage, and then now you're outside the tavern in a forest. And then we have another actor who does all the different roles. So he's quickly moving the scenery, doing the mask changes and the characterization, and then we're straight in with it. And the audience that I wanted to appeal to was the age that I was when I first got into fighting fantasy. So we have children as young as 6, going right up to grandparents who've never probably read a fighting fantasy book, probably not at that age very engaged with fantasy in any level. And they'll be coming in, sitting down and engaging on an adventure within 10 minutes and talking to elves and doing magic. There's no rules to remember. Well, there are rules, but there's no rules that they have to remember. You know, the spells, I can show you our spells. They are essentially stage directions. So they get given these and they have to share them out. And the amazing thing is, you know, people say, well, how long is a show? And the show tends to be about an hour and a half, hour and 45. And to get these people, you know, these kids at that age to sit down and concentrate for an hour and 45 minutes, we feel is quite an achievement. And it's all to do with storytelling. It's all to do with them absolutely being pulled into it, and there's certain techniques that we use. Stuart Wallace, would you consider doing one of these Story Master Tells adventures on your Twitch channel with us? But yes, I mean, we do the. I've been since the lockdown experimenting with Zoom and, you know, this broadcast. This is why I asked John, you know, would you like me to do the interviews, because I've got everything here, and I am pushing it further at the end of the year. Already I've done green screen, we've had different scenes, we've had it where I've been at home doing it because we weren't allowed out, and I was superimposing scenes from the theatre at home. But now what I'm trying to do more filming and then adding it. So we're actually tricking your mind, not knowing what's real and what's not. I'm working at the moment on a horror piece with a member of the Inner Magic Circle, and I was chatting the other day with someone who's very well known. He's actually a Hollywood actor. He's a writer producer who's had things on Broadway, and he's pushed me to go into he says, join the Magic Circle, because, you know, what you're doing is quite unusual. So it's kind of blending all the things I've loved since I was a child into a job. Now, to answer your question, how did the game come about? Well, I wanted to have something which I could send to everyone. I knew that when we had the experience here in the studio, we had a fantastic reaction from the kids, but I could only reach the ones that could actually get here. But we had these amazing soundscapes and these narrations, and I thought, well, I think I'm going to start designing a game. So every card for all my games has a soundscape and a narration that you have to play. And again, this is such a powerful theatrical device that isn't used enough in any game, I believe. So that's how it came about. I started designing games that way, and also, you know, I do love games. I don't have much time to play them nowadays myself, but, you know, I just felt that I'd like to do a game that was very, very simple to learn, but could take you on an amazing journey. Again, same principle that I have here in the theatre. Make it simple, make it so a 6-year-old can understand it, but also, you know, your partner can understand. If they're not into role playing, you can say, oh, we're going to play a game. There's no setup, you don't have any rules. Here we are, we're going to read the book, and you're into it. You know, and that it's worked effectively so far. What's my favourite character in the FF series? Thank you, Paul. Well, at the moment, it's Nostromo, of course, because when we, of course, didn't know, we did House of Hell last year, And this year we're supposed to be doing Death Trap Dungeon as a live show. And I don't want to spoil how we're going to be doing it, because we will be doing it at some stage. Next year's Games Expo, we hope. But we wanted a narrative device, and we felt that Nostromo was going to be a great one to sort of bring in. And I mined the information from Armies of Death, Trial of Champions, and of course Death Dungeon. And I found there was a narrative that I could run through all those, where you're... Okay, well, I can tell you, you are part of a group, because obviously we couldn't have one player and then they go and die, or not die, and be quite boring to watch. We wanted as many people to get involved. But you're part of a group which is using Nostromo's tower to infiltrate Death Trap Dungeon. It's an outer season. So it's like a heist game. So you have to go in, bluff your way in, and steal certain items which will stop the Shadow Prince from coming. So yeah, so that's gonna happen. It is gonna happen. We're hoping we're gonna do it. I mean, maybe if COVID comes back and we're not allowed out, I might be able to do a version of it for a Zoom quest. Now I've got several things. If you, I think most of the people here have probably seen what I do, but we've got Weirding Wood, which you can still get now from the Story Master's Tales. We do send it worldwide. And also we have a follow-up, which is Draco Deep Dungeon. And then next year we're going to be bringing one out called Threatlord Town. So those three, I suppose it's kind of like a nod to my favourite books, which was Death Trap Dungeon, Forest of Doom, and then City of Thieves. But the stories, it is none of those stories. The first one is all about sort of grim fairy tales. The second one is more Arthurian and Greek myths. And the third one, it's going to be more... did you want to say? Okay, it's going to be more sort of urban myths. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's going to be sort of boogeymen. You're going to have some very strange things happening in that. So that's going to be fun. Now, I do at the moment have a Kickstarter which ends tonight. And that's Hotel Lovecraft. Hotel Lovecraft was voted as the one they wanted me to bring out next. So here we are, we're doing it now. Now, Hotel Lovecraft is, again, it's a far more theatrical blending of a game and theatre. So it has to be played with the audio soundtrack. Absolutely has to be. It has a like a hypnotic induction to get you in the mood. You must play it under candlelight. And then you lay the cards. So the premise is you wake up at the very top of Hotel Lovecraft. You don't know who you are. You don't know where you are or what's going to happen. And then you hear a voice over the tannoy that basically says, to escape, you must open the doors of the room. So you work your way down all the rooms. Now, every room is a little bit of craziness, a little bit of H.P. Lovecraft dream world. It could be real. It could be part of the sanatorium. It could be suddenly you're in Antarctica. You could be suddenly under the pyramids. So each door, there'll be things that are happening, and there's little threads of things that you have to do. But the idea is that you've got to survive. Now, the music we've been selling quite a bit. We've been doing all the soundscapes. The Cthulhu soundscapes got, I think, 6 albums of those now, and it is nerve jangling. Just setting the light, hearing the music, playing the game, expanding on the narrative to try and scare the hell out of your friends. That's really what it's for. And the great thing about it, you can also play it over Zoom. You don't even need video. You can play it over audio. As long as someone's got this, they can say, right, which room do you want to go in? Do you want to go number 1, 2, or 6? So it's an ideal game to play if you're at home and you want to say, hey, do you want to play a game tonight? And they can access all the audio from wherever you want. You can send them a link. So the audio is going to be free, and the game ends tonight. It's 30 quid, and it's been a delight and horror and really hard work, because it's quite horrible, disgusting stuff that you have to get in your head. And when it's a nice, bright, sunny day, it's hard to shift it. So we got those. Now, have you ever considered branching into sci-fi ventures? Yeah, well, I know I name dropped Tom Baker enough, but I'd love to get him to narrate something. That would be a personal dream and achievement if I could get him. But whether sci-fi would be the right one for him, I don't know. Sci-fi, I love Star Trek. Obviously, I love Doctor Who, Star Wars, all those kind of things. But I don't feel quite comfortable enough to do it yet. But it doesn't mean we couldn't do something else in the same vein. So it's possible. The next one I'm working on is the Tome of Terror for the Story Master's Tales. And that's going to be horror based, but much more tongue in cheek. It's going to be a family game. So we're dealing with Dracula and the castles, but we're looking at inspiration from sort of Hammer horror, sort of German expressionistic Nosferatu, and the sort of black and white early horror films. So that's where we're kind of setting it, sort of 1920s to 30s, and I cannot wait to start writing that. I have a very unusual way of writing games. I'll write a whole list of all the artwork I want. That I think will fit in well, and then I will start I'll have an idea that they're themed, and then once I've got the artwork, then I'll start writing the book, because I will play it. Before I do anything, I actually play with blank cards, and then I'll picture what's going to be there and how they'll lay out, and then I kind of build it up that way. So it's a little bit strange. Any future in converting your board games into video games? Now, I mean, there's a possibility. I am working on a few projects which will be not video games, audio games, games where similar kind of thing. Yeah, I think my thing is it's got to be theatrical. It's got to be a little bit different. I don't want people to play games normally with some strange music under light. I want people to really be inhabited by their games. This is why rules for me have got to be super simple, because the moment you kind of go, hang on, stop everything, hang on, this one, look at this chart, I'm going to roll this, I'm going to roll it. For me, I'm out of the story, I'm out of the narrative. So if you can make that almost written into the story itself, that's way better. I've never been a great fan of combat, so because for me, I don't know about you, but I think a lot of people would just thumb through it. Yeah, I've done that one. So yeah, I'm kind of working on theatrical versions of things, as well as the Zoom ones. I've got obviously the audio ones we're working on, and I can't tell you how we're going to do it, but it is going to be something that I haven't seen done before. Again, it's going to be using artwork. I might even try and persuade who I'm working with to let me do some of the artwork, because that's one thing I've been trying to work on. I wish I had more time to do it. Right, okay, so thank you guys. It's 6 o'clock. I am going to go, so to let you know again, if you want Hotel Lovecraft, it finishes tonight. So head over to Kickstarter if you want to back that. I believe there is going to be Ken Bottled Imp is going to be doing Beowulf at some stage tonight, probably very, very soon. I think it's either 6 or 7 o'clock. I think it might be 7 o'clock. And then we got the virtual bureau. Okay, and I'll go and get my nice glass of wine for that. Anyway, thank you very much, everyone. It's been a long day. Thank you for your company. Thank you for your support. Continue to spread and share the love. And we'll hopefully all see each other very soon. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.